and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm not so bad. So, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, doing okay. It's been a good week for films.
Yeah.
I watched two really good films. Well, one really good film, one documentary that was very good, and then one trashy movie. But we'll get to it. Do you want to kick us off?
Should we start with the substance then?
Yeah, we can start with the substance. Why not? So the substance from 2024. Is it Coralie? Is that how you would pronounce the name? Fargit.
So, yeah.
Starring Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, this is like top 5 movie status for me. I think I will tell you, I was actually won over with this film just from a visual storytelling aspect with the Hollywood star at the beginning of the film. I was like, this is remarkably well shot.
Yeah.
Just from a storytelling standpoint, just in terms of what a single visual telling us everything we need to know. Superb.
The most uncomfortable, like even before you get to the body.
Oh my god, is this film uncomfortable?
The most uncomfortable close-ups of people. And your introduction to Dennis Quaid's character.
Oh, he is so gross in this. He's amazing.
I have never wanted to be that close to Dennis Quaid.
No, especially not when he's eating shrimp.
But it's not a spoiler, but
no,
we're introduced. So Demi Moore's character has come from her working out video sort of thing.
Yes,
and the ladies is out of order, so she goes into the gents.
Yes.
While she's in one of the cubicles, Dennis Quaid's character comes in on the phone, slagging her off. And he comes, so we're on a long shot.
Yeah.
Down this toilet, and he comes right up to us. We basically stood at we are the urinals basically.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
And he proceeds to have a piss right sort of on top of us.
Yes. While on the phone.
Yeah, and then he doesn't wash his hands.
Nope.
And then the next scene,
he's
you
eating.
see him eating shrimp with his fingers, and it's
he is. I mean, I will say, I think from a cast perspective, top to bottom, the performances are amazing in this film.
Yeah.
Genuinely, this might be one of my favorite Demi Moore performances.
Oh my god! And I think Demi Moore
is
one of those actresses that has got these amazing little performances
throughout
her career.
I agree.
But there always seems to be this big gap between them.
Mm-hmm.
And this, my god,
she's amazing in this.
I think some people throw things around, when they say, "Oh, this actress is this and such as." I've heard it said in this movie, she is fearless in this movie, and she.
Oh my god, yes.
She is I think a 60-year-old woman.
Yeah. And
you see everything.
She doesn't. Yeah, it was incredibly brave of an aging celebrity to take on this role.
She looks fantastic.
She looks incredible for her age. But regardless, regardless of age, given the subject matter of this film, it's a difficult film to be in, I would imagine. But certainly as an aging Hollywood star, the way that Hollywood treats women, which this film is very much centered around. And it's a wonderful commentary on all of that and the shallowness of Hollywood and the way they treat women in Hollywood.
Just to be honest,
or people in general, I guess, but
old age in general, actually, because it's just that.
I think it like to my mind, it was. I know we've said many a time before the way that Hollywood kind of casts women once they're over 40 is kind of appalling, and it kind of always has been. Because I remember always saying like,
better, but not much better.
It's gone a little bit better, but I remember saying way back when we did the Rogue One review, saying like, oh yeah, no, it's great. They're all like, we're all we're like the Force is female and stuff, and I was like, well, that's great, but then why is it always a 20-something female? Why couldn't it be an older female? You know what I mean? Like, and from a plot perspective with Rogue One, it probably would have made more sense if she was older. You know, having seen a lot more, you know, endured a lot more. But yeah,
I mean, that movie wasn't the problem with
no, of course not. No. But yeah, this movie is.
Ray Liotta was supposed to be the Dennis Quaid character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
that's interesting. Okay.
So I think the movie is dedicated to him at the end. I think
Ray Liotta would have been fantastic, but I cannot state how amazing Dennis Quaid is in this. And by amazing, I mean horrible.
Like, he's not in an awful lot, but every time he turns up, your skin just crawls.
I will say that I'm thinking about...
Dennis Quaid is fucking awesome, but I've never hated Dennis Quaid so much.
No, I will say as well that aside from certain very spoilery, gross things at the end of this movie, Dennis Quaid is probably the thing that's sticking with me the most. Him eating the fucking shrimp and just being disgusting has really stuck with me since I saw this movie.
Yeah. And that's the whole scene where he's just explaining to her that she's old.
Oh my god.
They're getting rid of her. And she's just sat there staring at him, and her expression is amazing. She's just taking in this utterly grotesque human being.
Oh god. And the whole framing of the opening of this movie, like I said, with the Hollywood star and then her doing her dance thing, and then afterwards everyone's wishing her happy birthday the whole way down the hall, and you can tell she's really self-conscious about this you know, the fact that she's aging, and and she's looking at pictures of herself, and obviously that leads to the car accident. This is the catalyst for the rest of the movie. I'm going to be really careful because I don't know how much people know about this movie.
I think we can say up to. I think we can certainly talk about the process. I think we can talk about that.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I think I am not going to touch the last 20 minutes.
Half hour, 20 minutes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All I would say about the last is, oh my god,
escalation.
You're quite prepared for what exactly happens.
I was not prepared for where this movie went by the end. No. I
mean, it was obvious that something...
Oh yeah, I knew something was coming, but I didn't know it would go that far.
Worse and worse, but... I mean, so basically the general premise is that she has this accident. You know, she's aging, she gets fired from her job to be replaced by... You know, they put an ad in the paper for someone new to replace her. And while she's in the doctor's a knobhead, there's this... I'm presuming he's either a technician or a nurse. I'm not quite sure which.
Yeah. This
stunningly beautiful dude,
young man.
It just looks way too airbrushed to be normal.
Yeah.
He basically plays with her spine.
Yeah, and she's just been in a car accident. So at first she's like, I thought you cleared me to go. I thought you said I was okay. And he's like, oh yeah. And then he says, no, you'd make a great candidate. And she's like, what? And he's like, oh no, you're fine. You're free to go. Don't worry, you're fine.
As she's walking home, she finds in her pocket this flash drive.
Yes. Which
has the substance written on one side and a number written on the back.
And a note that says, this changed my life.
Yeah. So she proceeds to go watch this thing. It shows you what it shows you on the trailer.
Yes.
Which is that thumping sort of thing that sort of sticks with the whole fucking movie, actually. That sort of weird thumping track that...
Yeah.
It's like starts getting... Well, it's certainly got on my... like... gets on your nerves, as in that sort of like, oh, this is just so uncomfortable.
God, yeah, absolutely.
They do an amazing job with that. So basically, this substance, which is like some shadowy fucking organization, which they never really know about. Everything is done via telephone and drop boxes.
Yeah,
and she's basically shown that they take your DNA and a new one of you is produced. However, that new one there are now two of you.
Yes.
You have to share time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1 week on, 1 week off, and while you whichever one is on,
and it must be absolutely strictly adhered to.
Yes, it is. It is completely. It has. You get 7 days, and then you have to swap back, and you have to look after the other self. It has to be set up with like a feed drip, and all this sort of stuff. And the new self has to be stabilized by. My guess is it's like spinal fluid.
Yeah, it's some kind of agent that you have to inject regularly to be stabilized.
Basically pulls some liquid out of the base of the spine, basically, and the actual apparatus itself is quite cool. It's very, the way it's all like set up when she pulls it out, and it's all got its little 7-day bits, and
it all looks like it looks very what's it called, oh god, I can't even think what that company's called. The company that like sends you food and is all prepackaged, and you're like, there's meal 1 and here's part 1 of meal 1 and part 1 of meal 2. I'm like, I could totally imagine a mail order drug service catering to, like, it would look like this. I could totally see it.
So obviously the new version. So with Demi Moore's character is Elizabeth.
Yes.
The new version, she calls herself Sue.
Yes, because I initially wondered that as well, because I was like, so now you're going to look really young. How are you going to explain any of this? And she doesn't, which is great. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. You've got a new personality.
It's not an exact clone either.
No.
Because I like the fact that they've got different eye colour.
Well, she looks at pictures of herself young at the start, and it's clearly young Demi Moore. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. When she's going down that corridor,
they make it very clear it's not the same.
Those pictures of Demi Moore when she was younger, So
yeah.
Obviously, greed, I suppose, is as it were, gets in the way, and
addiction, and fame, and celebrity.
Bad things happen because.
Oh my god, do they ever?
And what I love is the way that the company, when things are going wrong, and they phone the company, and the company are like, we told you.
You were given strict instructions.
You are one person. You are not two people. You are one person. You have to look after each other, and if you don't,
there is a wonderful moment in this film, and without spoiling anything, there's a moment where she's desperate and she phones them, and she's like, I think I need to stop, and they're like, well, you can stop at any time, and she's like, will I get back what I was? And they're like, no, it's done, but you can stop now and you'll just live the way you are now. But there's no going back. Like, it's irreversible. I would like to say as well, I don't think since American Werewolf in London has there been a transformation scene where I was so uncomfortable and just like, that looks painful and horrible and gross and amazing. It's rare for me to have that from a CGI effect, and it looked mostly CGI. It was very impressive though.
Yeah, I think the sort of the ripples and things, and certainly there is practical makeup late in the movie, which
that stuff looks amazing. Yeah,
there are some practical effects that are
it gets very squishy later.
Yeah. The fun. This is. I watched this on my own. My wife. My wife isn't good at body horror.
I was going to say, well, by the end of this, I wasn't even sure how good I was with it by the end.
I think she was interested in the when she saw the trailer, and she's always loved Dennis Quaid ever since.
Oh, she won't anymore.
Ever since not the Big Sleep. What's the bloody where he's a Cajun in the movie?
I have no idea.
Inner Space she loves.
Oh yeah, everyone loves Inner Space. Inner Space is amazing.
I remember the name of that bloody movie.
Don't worry about it.
So she is sort of interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching this, and She came in at the very end,
Oh no.
and and I was like, "You really should leave now."
Yeah.
She's like, "What is this?" I said, "It's the movie." I said, "Don't." I said, "Just turn around and leave the room."
Just walk away.
And she did walk away. And she said, "Have I?" And later on, she's like, "Did I spoil it?" I said, "Not really, because you didn't see enough, but
Yeah.
you did choose the worst moment to walk in."
Uh-huh.
So it was like, yeah.
I think this
She
this
hasn't said she doesn't want to watch. She doesn't want to watch it. So I'm
I would definitely recommend going into this as blind as you possibly can.
yeah.
I think the trailer gives away a fair amount, but
Yeah.
I would recommend going in as blind as possible. I think from a direction standpoint, it's amazing. The use of color is fantastic as well in this.
Oh yeah, the color palette is
And the contrasting colors in
almost
places.
blinding at times.
Even scenes as simple as when she goes into the male bathroom and all the male doors are red and she's wearing that blue outfit and she's on the other side. It's just so well filmed, like, and very considered. Like, everything feels very considered. Some of the lenses as well, like those awkward, horribly up close lens things that you were talking about. You know, they're almost fisheye kind of in places.
It's all very uncomfortable.
Oh, it's amazing.
And the yellow jacket she wears all the time as well. It's like whenever it's almost like an armor thing she puts on when she sort of goes outside. It's really cool. The unbelievable shots, and I haven't seen so many close up of asses since Showgirls. I don't think.
Yeah.
There were some really just look, that's someone's ass. Great, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, if body horror / nudity is not your thing, do not watch this movie because it's full of both. I loved this film.
It's
genuinely loved it.
I will say it's too fucking long.
Yes, I agree.
Did not need to be in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
But this has been such a dry year for me in terms of like films that are really, really good.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh my god, that's one for the top 5, I would imagine. I'll be surprised if it doesn't make my top 5.
I don't know what exactly you could cut out, but I think there's a middle bit that seems to get a little baggy, and I think if you just edited it a little more,
it does repeat itself a little.
Yeah.
And I think you could probably lose some of that.
It just needs to be a little more economical.
A little bit more pacey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are just some amazing, little details that you get. That, I mean, I'd love to talk about.
Yeah, so would I. In a couple of weeks. I was going to say to you, actually, I was like, wow, like, we never managed to do that third and final body horror movie, and then we both watched this, and it was like, oh, we kind of, there's one.
This is truly it. This is right up there with...
It really is.
The great body horrors. There are so many, like, lovely little sort of things that are just horrible little things, like, when Sue, she was utterly disgusted by her other self because she's older and she's staring at her, and she decides to make like a place to put her.
Yes.
And just that whole like process of she goes around the house and she knocks on the walls to find somewhere she can put her, and she basically builds her a room.
Yeah.
But it's not. She doesn't light it. She doesn't put any furniture in it. She just makes basically a cupboard to
discarded goods. Yeah.
And it's horrible.
It really is, and it's immediately.
Like that.
Yeah, and it's immediately contrasted, immediately interrupted by one of her neighbors or the landlord complaining about the noise.
Yeah.
And he's coming up to have a go at Demi Moore. And then when she sees that it's this young, attractive girl, he immediately changes. He's like, oh, sorry, actually. It's like, oh, my God. Everyone's horrible in this film.
You get the sort of opposite of that with Elizabeth when she
yes.
she wakes up one day and she comes into her living room and there's this fucking billboard
Yeah.
right outside her apartment of Sue,
Yeah.
just staring in at her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just little uncomfortable things that are just, not even getting to the body horror. It's just
it's hideously uncomfortable almost immediately.
Yeah, and there's the scene. I love that scene where she goes to the diner.
Oh yeah.
And it was immediately obvious who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
And that's not really spoiling anything.
No.
He basically says, how are you coping with the loneliness?
Yeah.
And she's completely horrified. I mean, she knows what he's talking about, but you can see, she's literally going through everything he's just said in one sentence, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You completely see what it's good. It is a fucking stunning movie.
Yeah, I think it's a top 5. If I get to the end of it's only like next month. If I get to the end of next month and this isn't in my top 5, I will be shocked. Let's put it that way.
I hadn't thought about it, but now you mention it, it probably will be in mine.
And granted, from my perspective, it's been quite a dry year for like real top tier movies.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 100% in the argument right here.
Yeah,
amazing film.
And it's kind of, it's mostly just 2 people.
But it's 2 amazing actresses.
Quali, who is, I think I've seen her in 1 or 2 other things, but only in very small parts.
I think this is the first film I've seen her in. She's
Andy McDowell's daughter.
Oh really?
Yeah. I've seen her in a few things, and she's quite good. But it's not like she gets to do an awful lot, other than, I mean,
I don't think that's quite fair. I mean, she does.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. Is what she does.
Yes.
It's fucking good.
Yes, it's brilliant.
What she's, I'm not explaining it very well, but
I think I know what you mean. Like Demi Moore is clearly got the more acting role.
She gets to do the more meaty character stuff, and Sue has to be snarky and sexy and
mm-hmm.
And just not evil, but just a bit wrong. Excuse me. But it's, oh my word, it's such a yeah, you're right. It is. I think this is.
It's a contender.
Top 5 movie. Yeah. I'd certainly recommend it to anybody. Certainly anybody who loves body horror, and just horror in general. I think actually, because it's so well made, and like I said, it's not just the body horror that's gross and horrible. It's the actual horror of aging and being not looked at anymore, and there's so many things it reminded me of. It's got sort of a bit of Death Becomes Her. It's that whole idea of.
And I think there's like I don't know about you. I was thinking I think anyone that watches this film, regardless of gender, regardless of age, I think there's something in this movie. Like it hits. It will hit one of your insecurities. Almost guaranteed it's going to hit on one of them, regardless. It's like, oh god, this film hits really hard when it needs to. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think I don't think it was. It's there's. I think some people have reviewed it and they framed the overall. There is a very. Let's say when you see all of the executives, they are obviously a certain type of people.
Yeah, but I believe it.
Well, that's the thing, is that people have been very sort of negative about that. But the thing is
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but that's actually a Hollywood truth. Though,
yeah,
isn't it?
I think so. It may be an uncomfortable one, but
yeah,
I don't know. I was watching that and I was like, yeah.
I don't think you can. Of all the things that you can aim at this movie, I don't think what calling it woke is.
Oh God, no.
Not in that way, anyway.
No.
It's certainly pointing out Hollywood flaws and
that's what all good science fiction horror should do.
Yeah.
Allegory and not so much allegory, I guess, but just showing a side of something, telling us something about society or a subsection of society, and obviously Hollywood is a subsection of society, and yeah, I mean, God, there's been enough stuff come out recently to kind of show that things probably are that way, you know.
Yeah.
How much they've done to change that, I don't know, but no, I certainly wouldn't take that conclusion away from this film personally.
Yeah,
and regardless, even if that is the point, it's still a remarkably well made film.
Yeah, and there is a lot of Cronenberg stuff that,
yes,
like, not just in body horror ways, but in Cronenberg's humor, there were. I'm not going to spoil what the content, but there's one thing that I'll say that you should pick up on. So when there are two characters you see only very briefly who are casting people, and
I laughed at them. They were
they're just gross and horrible.
Yeah, they're like laughed not in like but laughed because they were so gross.
There's something they say about one of the auditionees, and then it comes up again later.
Yes, as
a very gross, very funny joke.
Yep,
I certainly found it funny.
Yeah, so did I.
But the humor is so black.
Oh God, yeah.
It would disappear at night. It's very, very, very dark.
Yeah.
But it's there.
It is there. Yeah. There is some comedy there for sure.
Well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this is one of Demi Moore's best performances.
I certainly think so.
And I don't think initially the producers wanted her. I think
I feel like this film was written around her. Like it's like she fits so well into that role.
Yeah, and I think she's written a biography about her struggles with her body image.
Oh really?
Yeah, and
oh wow, so that's even more brave of her to be doing this. Then
she sent it to the producers, and I think they were like, oh okay, I think she is perfect for what we actually want. She knows exactly what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I think she transformed her body a number of times. I mean, when she did G.I. Jane and stuff like that, I mean, she got totally fucking ripped for that movie. It's not a great movie, but
do you know me and Ben were talking about that movie earlier, and we were just saying like it's not a good movie, but her performance is amazing in that film.
Good in it. That's the thing that movie is basically saved by her.
Yes.
Performance.
Absolutely.
And she's fucking amazing in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so she did that, and she over her career she was one of the first people to be photographed on the cover of a magazine naked and pregnant.
Right.
She had that earlier thing with the aging woman gets naked for striptease.
Right. Yeah.
So she's had these sort of body. She's been a very physical person throughout her career. So this is, she's just. I think it was just it felt like almost serendipitous that she was. This movie was there, and she was just the right, perfect person for it. And it shows every time she's on the screen, she's truly amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely great. So, what else have you watched?
So I will go with Promised Land.
The Promised Land.
So this movie, it came out last year.
Yeah, 2023. Yeah,
it was only released this year over here. So this is a Dutch movie, starring Mads Mikkelsen, and directed by, I'm going to butcher his poor name, Nikolai Arcel.
I'll go with that.
So this is so it's based on a book, and I don't know how much of it is true. I think they've taken lots of liberties with it, but I think there's a core truth of the story. So Mikkelsen plays Captain. No, he's not Captain. I think he was Lieutenant Lieutenant Ludwig Kalen,
Yes.
who it's in 18th century, and he's fought with the German army, and now he's sort of living in this it's like a poverty home for retired sort of soldiers and stuff, which is obviously fucking horrible. And there's vast swathes of land in that is uncultivatable. It's just awful moorland that nothing grows on, and it's bleak, desolate. And he goes to the sort of the royal court, and he says that the king has this sort of plan to cultivate this land, right? He wants it. Okay. He wants it, but by the sounds of it, the king is. They're basically, you don't really see the king, but he's. They say that he's always drunk and he's doesn't really fucking pay attention to anything anyway. But he's called for this project, and Kalen's gone there, and he says, "I can go out there and I can make this land." And the courtiers kind of laugh at him, and he's like, he's some, the I think the actual movie is called The Bastard, because that's what he is.
Right.
He's a no-name nobody with a soldier's pension. Fuck him, sort of thing. Piss off. But one of the courtiers is like, look, he's asking to do something like he says, I've got money. I'm not asking for any money. I'm just asking for support when when I need it. And they said, well, what would you want if you're successful? And he's like, I want a title and staff and all that sort of stuff. And they laugh at him. He's like, blah, blah, blah. They basically, one of them says, hang on, can you leave the room a minute? I just need to discuss something. So he leaves the room, and this one particular noble says, look, we don't have to fucking pay him anything. He's already said he's got his own money. He's got his own ideas.
Yeah.
He's fucking off out there.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. We can just say to the king, hey, look what we've done.
We'll take all the credit
on your project.
Yeah.
He's So off he goes to the middle of nowhere, and the scenery in this it's so bleak. It reminded me of Sisu.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
when you see him digging in that, in the middle of nowhere, and it's just fucking, you can just see the horizon forever sort of thing. So he goes to this place, and he starts digging and trying to find decent soil, and there's a long process of him trying to find something. There's sort of the nearest town, as it were. He tries to get help from them, and no one really wants to help him. And there's a priest that sort of starts trying to help him, who's this really nice, obviously a sort of kindly priest who sort of starts trying to help him. There's a sort of sheriff of this area that doesn't really want to get involved, but he clearly has a actual sense of justice.
Sure.
The problem starts coming when the nearest landowner, this utterly appalling human being called Deschinkel, Frederick Deschinkel, played by Simon Benedjerg, he is pissed off that this is happening, because he says, this is my land, right? But it's all of the sort of unclaimed land is King's land. So Matt Mikkelsen's character says, this is King's land, I've got every right to be here. And this guy's like, no, you fucking haven't. This is my land. You're a fucking peasant. He invites him over to his house, and he fucking humiliates him every fucking opportunity. He's got this, the Lord has this woman who's living with him, Helena, she's from a rich Norwegian family, and basically it's a case of from a noble Norwegian family, not rich. So she has no money, he has money, but they've got all the titles and the the Splendor.
Sure, yeah.
So her father's basically sent her there to marry him, and he's like, you've got to stay there for like a year to get to know him, and basically you'll have to marry him eventually, sort of thing, right? But she keeps putting off.
Okay.
She's massively intrigued by this Kalen because he's like, well, he's a soldier and he's a dude. He's like he's the most interesting thing she's seen there.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So he ends up hiring a couple who are runaway servants from this guy. They run away from him, and they set up this home, and then I don't want to, I'll try and keep it as concise as I can. He manages to build a house. He builds, he finds that he can cultivate a certain amount of it. Every time he gets something working, this fucking noble fucks him over.
Right.
And he ends up with these two servants that are these runaway servants that obviously he shows kindness to, but he's a very stoic guy who doesn't say a lot, and he doesn't but he's clearly a man with principles. When the guys turn up like, hey, have you seen these servants? He's like, nope, don't know what you're talking about, never seen them. So they know that they can, these two servants know that they can trust him to keep him, safe, because he treats them fairly.
Yeah.
As opposed to this fucking noble who's just horrendous. He's the sort of, I mean, he isn't over the top villain. He is the sort of fuck every female, servant.
Yeah.
Flay alive any servant that, So he is slightly over the top, but it works in the context of the thing. They end up with this gypsy in the forest. The only people that basically live out there are basically brigands and gypsies, and he keeps getting raided by this gypsy girl who lives with the brigands, and he ends up through the process of the movie, he ends up sort of kind of adopting her.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, and you can see the sort of change that happens within this character.
Mm.
And I am not going to spoil this movie, but it is a beautiful sort of long, slow movie that it's only long in that everything is paced. It's long paced. It's like nothing happens quickly. It's a period movie that takes its time to do anything. I personally didn't have a problem with it. I think some people will have a problem with it, but for me, it was paced fine because it was doing its best to tell the story that it was telling.
Yeah,
it is fucking bleak.
Well, it sounds bleak,
It's every time, like almost every time something good happens, something fucking worse happens.
Something's waiting just around the corner.
Yeah. And it's I think the overall story is that this guy did exist.
Mm.
What happens in the movie, I don't think completely happens. I think this guy did exist. I think he did go out into this thing. He did cultivate this land. And I'm not going to spoil the end, so I'm not going to say what happens, but I think a certain amount of what happened at the end does happen, but not in the way it does. There is a certain romanticism in this movie that probably didn't really exist, but is so good in this movie. Oh my god! There are so many moments where your heart just sinks, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, no! This is just stop. He's like, it's literally like there's no, I'm not. I can't do it. I can't spoil it. But there's just these moments where you think, oh god, it's going. This is great. He's got this. He's got that. This is happening, and then immediately it's like, fuck, I can't. I try not to spoil it.
But
Like,
yeah, that's okay.
Immediately, the circumstances are like, oh, but this,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, you fuckers! Can you not just
give him a break?
Not? You know, can you not? It is so good. Mads Mikkelsen is
always great, right?
He's so fucking good.
Mm.
He and the thing about this movie is, and I've seen some of the reviews, and they've said, oh, he fucking doesn't do anything. He's like, oh, he just grunts and stuff. He says more with his facial expressions and his fucking eyes.
Yeah, it's called acting.
Than most fucking people do, you know, in their entire career.
Yeah.
Anyone who watches this movie and says, oh, but he's not doing anything, it's like,
are you watching what yeah, you're not
exactly.
watching this.
Are you not fucking noticing? It's like, oh, his character doesn't change. Yes, he fucking does. His character goes all over the, you know, the full fucking gamut of human emotion, even though he's not fucking screaming about it or, you know, telling everybody his feelings at every moment. You can fucking see it on his face. You know exactly what he's feeling. You know exactly what he's going to do. You know, there's some nice little action scenes in it, you know, that are just very sharp, brutal, you know, to the point action things, because he's a soldier and certain things happen that he can't stand for, and he
deals with them.
Step up. And yeah, and he does. It is a tremendous movie. It really is. And I teared up at least 3 times. It is beautiful. It is such I mean, if you like period movies that you don't mind, you know, slow, you know, well paced, for me, period that are just fucking well done. And will make you. I mean, if you don't fucking feel anything after you've seen this movie, then there's something fucking wrong with you. It's really fucking good, and it's one of the best period movies I've seen in a long time. It's just great. I loved it so much, and I'm not sure I've seen the director do any of his other movies before.
Right.
Oh, he did the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Which is another one that's actually good by him as well. So yeah, I utterly adored this. It's a real movie for period movies. If you like, you know, and I don't know enough about the history of Denmark, to be honest. All I know is that there were lots of wars between, you know, Germans and Swedes and you know, I know bits and pieces about it. You know, and the performances of some of the minor characters who I've seen in other movies. There's one particular guy, even one of the dickhead nobles. It's like, oh, I remember that guy in that really cool Danish series that I watched about 18 something or other. He's really good in that. They're just lovely little performances, and you know, the bad guy is fucking over the top, but he is, you know, the performance is spot on. You want this guy to fucking die. He is awful, and he, you know, it is sometimes a little over the top, but for me it was perfect. It suited the movie so well. It's great. I love it.
Well, I will definitely be checking this one out. That sounds great. I'm gonna kind of stick with certain things you've said in that review flow really nice with the next thing I watched. Not a fictional film, a documentary.
Okay.
Which I had no intention of watching. I don't even know why I watched it. To be honest, it's just, you know, I think I have often said on this podcast that my favorite Netflix documentary of all time is The Last Dance, the NBA Chicago Bulls story.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. Amazing. This is a contender for amazing Netflix documentary. The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. I was vaguely aware of this being a thing in real life. I'm sure I read something about it at the time. But, you know, didn't think anything of it beyond that. This is the story of Mats Steen, who was a Norwegian kid who had this degenerative muscular disease.
Yep.
And he died basically at the age of 25, I think. And basically, the film kind of very immediately sets up. It's a documentary, but through archival footage of him, they set up very early that he was born seemingly perfectly normal, and then almost immediately there were issues with his muscles. Turns out he has this disease, and it will end up killing him ultimately. We get to his death quite quickly in the documentary, you know, the parents say one of the things that there's a bunch of things in there that, you know, you should really watch to kind of get the full impact of. But I mean, for example, the gene for this disease is passed on down by the mother. There's some really heartbreaking stuff with the mother, kind of saying that she almost blames herself, even though obviously there's nothing you could do to have known or help that. It's just the kind of thing I guess a mother would feel.
Fucking nature, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But they basically discover that as a kid he got into video games, and they were like, well, let him play video games because video games is something he can do, right? He can't go out like normal kids. He can't do everything a normal kid can do. By this point, he's already been confined to a wheelchair, and they're like, well, just let him play games then, I guess, you know? But there was concern he was playing games too much. Anyway, he died at the age of 25, and the documentary shows that he started playing World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is a game I have no interest in. I've never been interested in it. But this kid found an escape from his muscle degeneration in this world where he was fully able-bodied in the World of Warcraft world. And his parents and his father at his funeral actually said, you know, one of my biggest... The thing that upset me the most was the knowledge that our son would never form friendships, have romantic relationships, you know, laugh with friends, do any of the things that a normal kid would do. And this shows that he absolutely did all of that within this game. And the last time I saw World of Warcraft, it looked quite old because it is an old game. It looked quite janky. What they've done in this is basically you see his life up to when he died very quickly, and then it goes into his time in World of Warcraft. And in World of Warcraft, they've basically animated the characters, the character players.
Yeah.
And we get to see the impact that this kid had on other people's lives within that game. You know, he had a romance with a girl in World of Warcraft who actually genuinely had feelings for him. He like basically connected someone's a mother and child who were completely disconnected, and this kid, you know, they interview both of them, and the kid's like, you know, I was basically locking myself in my room. I didn't want anything to do with my mother. I wouldn't even hug her or touch her. I didn't want anything. Like I was really freaked out by like any kind of contact. And Ibelin, his character in game, you know, he basically brought them together through the video game. He suggested that this kid join his mother in the game, and she was like, I'm not sure that's a good idea, but he's like, well, you know, you could start there and then you could hug in the video game, and then you could go on, you know, raids together, and you can bond with your son through the game. He helped all of these people in the game, and you get to see that he had this fully fledged life up to his passing, and really affected a lot of people's lives, to the point that they came to his funeral, like his group or his clan came to his funeral, and I would say, like, honestly, you talk about tearing up. I teared up once. I properly cried once watching this documentary. This documentary is amazing. Like heartbreaking, but incredible and incredibly inspiring. You know, like this guy just found a way to live life. And he kept his disability from everyone playing the game as well, so no one knew until very near the end.
Yeah. So I knew about this. I don't play I play World of Warcraft.
I do single player games. That's what I do. I very rarely even do co-op. I much prefer single player.
It's the whole sort of pay for things and stuff. Like,
no.
Anyway, but I read this. So I read this article at the time
that
about the people going that got together and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Mm.
And then there was this whole within the article there was this little thing that said, if you want to read about this story, go to this thing, and there was a thing you could go to, and it basically just said, it was all sort of like testimonials from all of his friends that said, look, this is how he helped me. This is what.
Well, that's the amazing thing, because he did a blog.
Yeah.
And so the parents didn't think that anyone really saw the blog, but they were like, we should post on there for the followers that do follow him. And when they posted on there, they started getting all of these emails from all of these people in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
And it was basically just about how, all these people they came from all over the world. They were all like, I need to get to this. They
apparently hold a vigil. They have a gravestone in the game, and they have a ceremony every year for him to this day. And this was like 2014 or something, I think.
Yeah.
This documentary is amazingly well made. I mean, the story is very inspirational and heartbreaking. But the lives that he touched, and the production of the documentary, and the decision to have most of the story and the way, because obviously the story happened in game, but to have it happen on screen in a video game, but animated, so where you can, they are, they actually added the kind of facial animations and stuff that you would need to make it kind of look, good.
I saw the trailer and thought, okay, I might actually watch that at some point, because I knew about the actual story.
I would 100% recommend it. I thought this was really well made, and what an inspirational story. I don't very often do documentaries on this show, and I wasn't even gonna. I just put it on in the background. Sometimes you just put something on as background noise, and you're like, I'm not necessarily going to pay attention. I was hooked on this documentary. I thought it was absolutely superb.
I think one of the time, I think one of the things that this was being, why I think it got a lot of traction in the story as well, is that it was one of the very few fucking positive stories about video games.
Yes, well, it's so rarely. I mean,
video games get such fucking bashing in general. In general, articles. There's very, very rare that
they do touch on that in the
someone
documentary.
Says, hey, fucking all these. This is a game where you would never bloody think about this sort of thing. This game fucking brought all of these people from all over the bloody world together. And
it gave someone whose body was degenerating a body. It gave them a way to live life.
Mm-hmm.
It is a really amazing documentary. Really, really good. And they do what they did with the Val documentary, which was also superb. In Val, they got his son to narrate. But in this, they paid a voice actor who sounds a lot like their son. To basically read his blog posts. So while because he made this whole blog about life and stuff. So you basically hear him talking, over what happens in the in the story. I really, really highly recommend this one. This was a complete surprise to me. Background noise. It went from background noise to I'm doing nothing but watching this documentary. This is amazing. Really, really good. Highly recommend The Remarkable Life of Ibelin.
Okay.
What else have you got?
So shall we do Canary Black?
Why not? Let's do Canary Black. Directed by Pierre Morel. And starring Kate Beckinsale, Ray Stevenson. Was it his last movie? One of his last movies? I don't know.
I think was his last performance.
Okay, well, he's fine in it. That's something. So this stars Kate Beckinsale as Avery Graves. I was really hoping it would be Avery, as in like Bird Avery, but it's not. It's Avery Graves, who is the world's shittest and most inept CIA agent. And she shows this in the opening scene of the movie. She decides to wear the loudest wig possible to stealth her way into a fucking place. It ends up killing a bunch of people and then takes her disguise off before she leaves the fucking building. I was like, well, what are you doing? What is this?
It's like...
It's the most...
A high security compound which probably has cameras...
Yes, everywhere!
She's got... Her face is uncovered.
She's got the loudest wig for sneaking around in the dark. She looks like she's fucking glowing, like with radiation.
Yeah. Oh.
So she's basically blackmailed. They kidnap her husband, and she has to steal something called Canary Black. They're told it's a blackmail list, and it's a conspiracy. It's more than that. It is actually, I'm not going to spoil what it is. Suffice to say, and I think Matt will agree, it is quite possibly the dumbest fucking invention ever made, and no one in their right mind would fucking invent it. It's so stupid, and the fact that they had it so that it could also attack themselves for reasons that are they try to explain, but it really doesn't hold up at all.
Yeah, it's like. It's almost like,
well, maybe we want to nuke ourselves. Okay.
Well, we thought, you know, we give it the ability to nuke ourselves so that
just in case there's an armed resurrection, we could just eliminate everyone.
More a case of so that we will, you know, get rid of suspicion.
Yeah.
That we did it.
Sure.
Like, it seems to be the logic. Okay, sure.
So this is one of the most early 2000s movies to come out in 2024. Like, you know, we were talking about that there's been a couple of action movies lately where I've been like, oh, this was a lovely throwback to those, you know, canon movies and whatever. Yeah. This is a throwback to those really trashy early 2000s action movies. They're just so cringe. And this is like 100% that. There's a line in this movie where one of the villains is like, they're soldiers. They die. That's their job. And I was like, that's the opposite job of a soldier, though, isn't it? Isn't the job of a soldier to take other people's lives, not their own? Like that's.
Yeah. I mean, sure. If you want nothing but cannon fodder.
Yeah, sure. If you just want to kill yourselves, yeah, that would be their job. But
I guess. Oh my god, man! This movie. the dialogue.
It's so bad.
Fucking diabolical.
And I like Kate Beckinsale. I like Ray Stevenson.
I adore Kate Beckinsale. I have watched almost all of her movies.
Well, I primarily watched this because it was her.
There are a lot of very bad movies she's in.
Oh yeah.
This, I think, is probably the worst movie I've ever seen.
It's certainly up there. It is certainly up there.
And one of the things that makes it's I don't know what she's doing with her voice.
Well, I thought this.
I was a terrible American accent. And
her voice is very deep as well in this. I know she's a prolific smoker, or she was, and I wonder whether that's had an effect on her voice because it sounded very deep in this, like possibly, oddly deep.
Possibly. I don't know whether it was
or she might have been putting it on. I don't know.
Yeah. So one of the things that I find hilarious about this movie is you've got Kate Beckinsale, you've got Ray Stevenson, you've got Ben Miles, and I don't know him terribly well, Jazz Hutchins, right? Mm-hmm. All of those actors are British.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're all doing terrible American accents.
Mm-hmm. And you could have made this about a British thing just as easily.
I was just going to say...
Could have been England instead of America. It would have been fine.
They made them MI6.
Yeah.
They could have made this them MI6 and they wouldn't have had to do these awful... Not one accent in this movie is good. Rupert Friend is doing Scottish.
Yes, I know.
I'm pretty sure Rupert Friend is just English. I'm pretty sure he's just English. It's certainly not your stereotypical Scottish accent.
It does feel like somewhat regional within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Like he knows someone this Scottish.
Yeah.
It's like when Simon Pegg was like, "Oh, I'm going to do Scotty, but don't worry, my wife's Scottish," and it was like, "This sounds terrible, though."
You're just doing Scottish.
Like it just sounds terrible.
You're just doing a bad impression of Scottish.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so fucking diabolical. I mean, the whole, even the twists you see coming a mile.
Oh my god, did I see the twist coming a mile away?
But it's not even that. You just sort of think, but it's like you guess the twist, but inside you're also going, but it can't be that, can it?
It can't be that stupid. Yeah,
it's not gonna be that, is it? It's gonna be something better than that, and it's like, oh no, it
is that. And then this movie, the fucking gall of this movie to bait a sequel.
Oh,
I was like, there's not going to be a sequel to this movie unless enough people have, like us, have bloody watched it.
Burrows turns up. You're like, why are you? No, stop it!
What are you doing?
Stop it! Leave the room. Don't come back in. Oh my god, man!
I mean, it was worth it to do this review, but I wouldn't recommend other than that. You know,
the thing about this movie is also it's if it right. There have been a number of movies similar to this that I've reviewed in the last year or so, right?
Yeah. There's been quite a few,
but most of them know what they are.
Yes, this takes itself way too seriously.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
This is dour. It's like super serious in places, and it's like,
oh no, you should take this movie seriously. This is not.
Yeah, this is serious stuff, guys.
Here.
No,
there is nothing funny. Well, there is.
There is. I laughed a lot,
but not fucking not intentional. This movie is so fucking. It thinks it's like a high class Mission Impossible movie.
Yes.
It thinks it's. I mean, and I'm only saying high class Mission Impossible movie because the Mission Impossible movies know what they are.
They have fun. They know exactly what they are. This was like, let's take all of the humor out of it.
Yeah, and the director previously did fucking like Taken, and I think it was Peppermint was probably the last one that I remember seeing that he did, and District B13. So I mean, he's not a terrible director.
No, not by any stretch. But this is a huge miss. This one.
It's like, I don't know at what point they just sort of thought, oh yeah, this is what we're doing. This is a good movie. This is, we need to take this seriously. It's like, no, what?
You're all better than this. All of you. Everybody involved. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
These are all good people.
If this is Ray Stevenson's last movie, I'm going to be upset.
Ben Miles is a really good actor. What he was doing with that, oh my! The interrogation scene where he's got the mask on is hilarious. It's just, oh my god! I honestly cannot express how bad this movie is.
Did you not think that the twist right at the end would have been way more effective if it had happened earlier in the movie?
Yeah.
And then you could have done something with it. Not just chunked it right in at the end and been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only that, her character is like incensed.
Yeah.
She is incensed at what happens.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, love, you're a fucking assassin that just, from what we've seen, fucking just goes into a place and murders everybody.
Okay, it's all right.
No fucking leg to stand on.
No, oh my god, no. She has no leg to stand on at all. Okay, it's okay. Ray Stevenson is starring in another movie that is yet to come out.
Oh, for fuck.
1242 Gateway to the West.
Oh god.
It does well.
That title doesn't sound promising, but hopefully.
When the Mongolian army is about to invade Europe in 1242, it doesn't expect a Hungarian castle and its priest will stop it.
Okay.
I mean, it might be okay. It's probably going to be better than this.
I can't see how it would.
I'm willing to bet it'll be better than this. So, yeah, this is proper trash.
It's but the fight scenes aren't terribly good.
No.
They're
and again, as you said, director that is proven to put competent fight scenes together. Kate Beckinsale. She's done fight scenes before. You can get a stunt double to do it. Like it just all feels really bad.
There's a lot of very wiggy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's clearly not fucking her. That's clearly a stunt person. I'm right. This is gonna sound really mean, but Kate Beckinsale, there are shots of her running. And I've seen Kate Beckinsale do stuff. Now, right, I'm going to be having what we said earlier on about older actresses and stuff. Right?
You're going to just completely ruin yourself now.
I am, but I've seen her do action sequences where she has such grace and poise. And here, I don't. Maybe
that's not an age thing. They could have directed around any issues.
I think they could have.
Yeah.
They make her look clunky as
they
fuck.
do, and I don't think that I'm not going to blame her age on that. I think that's a direction thing.
Like that's what I'm saying, and I'm not. I think it's just a case of they make her look clunky. They also,
yes,
she's in these ridiculous boots. It's like
it's so 2000s. This is what I mean. Long coat, boots, like everything. It's all like, oh god.
Yeah, it's just atrocious. It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I mean, I can't even recommend it as a bad movie because I don't think there's anything to enjoy in this film.
No, it's not bad enough to be a bad funny movie.
Yeah,
like it's just really incompetent and mediocre, and I mean the plot's terrible, 100%. But yeah, it's oh god, it was bad. It was so bad. The
performances are bad. I mean, that's the problem. It's like the performances are bad, the dialogue is bad, and maybe it is a case of they couldn't have done any better with it. I don't know. I'm sure they could have.
I think you could have directed it better, but the story was terrible.
Yeah,
like this, they needed a whole rewrite. The whole story.
I will tell you one thing I did enjoy, which did make me laugh.
Go on.
And it was the using the drone to get in the building.
Oh god, the drone.
That was that was the only bit in the movie where I was like, I actually like this bit. This is the only bit that I thought was quite fun.
But again, they foreshadowed that drone so early on. I was like, oh god.
Yeah. They did. It's like you know when they make action movie when it's that. Now it's a cliche, and I'm not saying this is you know a good thing or
yeah.
So no, this is a thing that people say. Certain action movies are made for dumb people, usually Americans, is what they say, right?
Okay, that's not us saying that. That's what people say.
Exactly. That's it's a thing that exists, right? Uh-huh. It's a thing that people say. This movie is dumbed down for American audiences. This movie, I don't know who it's dumbed down for.
I know,
but it's like everything is telegraphed. Everything is like. You understand this? It's that whole like almost it's almost look at the actors look at you and go, do you understand? Are you getting it?
And yeah, when they explain what Canary Black is, I was like, no, I don't get it. Why would you do this? What is this?
Because it's another one of those things where it's what a lot of spy movies do. It's a thing that does this.
The thing is, to say that it's a thing that does that, right? If it's a thing that does that, and it's a thing that you can target and then it does that, that's it's rubbish, but I can kind of accept it. When it's a thing that does that and we've pre-programmed ourselves into it as well as everything else, so it's not like you point it and it does a thing. Like oh, we've got a satellite in orbit and it'll shoot a laser and it'll do this. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, fine. It can destroy, fine. It's GoldenEye or whatever,
Yeah.
But when it's like, it's GoldenEye and we've got one hovering over every country, including ourselves, ready to blow up. It's like, why would you do this?
There was that movie that came out a while ago with Gal Gadot that had a similar sort of, it's a thing that does this thing. And you've got to stop it. But that movie had a little more humour in it, and kind of...
Was that the one with The Rock in it?
Terribly good. No.
I don't think I've seen it. I think the last film I saw with her was that Ryan Reynolds The Rock thing. That was her, wasn't
it? Yes. I think it was after that.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it.
I know I reviewed it. I can't remember what it was.
It rings a bell, but I don't think I've seen it.
It was a similar sort of thing, and it was again rubbish. But at least that was enjoyable rubbish.
Yeah, if you're having fun, and we know you're tongue in cheek. That would have been a way to do this, actually. This would have been a lot more forgivable. Like you said, if they'd gone the Mission Impossible sequels route, where clearly we know, nod and wink, this is silly.
Yeah.
That would have gone a long way, actually.
Mm-hmm. It needed something.
Yes.
Some sort of, I don't know, fucking levity or so, just the po-facedness of it is just so bad. Honestly, and I'm, so it's not certainly the worst movie I've ever seen.
Oh god, no.
It's fucking up there. It's just so bad. I honestly, halfway through, I was like, do I want to finish this?
I got to that point too, and I was like, no, I have to now because I'm going to review it.
It's not, there's no way I'm not.
I've come this far,
I have to see all of it.
Now I know I have in the past. I've reviewed a movie based on half of what I saw before I quit. But usually only a movie that I know you've seen. And I'm like, well, I only watched part of it and I gave up. Fucking Zack Snyder movie. I did it with that.
Oh,
Rebel Moon, Part 1.
Oh god, yeah.
But generally, no. I will finish for the sake of the review. I pushed through.
Yep. Yeah. There's the only character that I actually quite enjoyed was the hacker.
Yeah.
She was fine.
Yeah, she was the one that was like, "This is nonsense."
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're ruining my life. Go away. It's like, yeah, she kind of is, and she doesn't thank her for it once, and she just treats her like shit the whole movie.
Oh my god, there was the scene where she's talking to Ray Stevens like surreptitiously with her phones and things, and she talks to him, and he says, "Oh, meet me at this place," and she gets there, she gets in the car, and then all the agents turn up to arrest, right? So then they're driving along in this like motorcade, and then the bad guys turn up, right? And they're firing at them, and it's the most incompetent chase scene.
Oh, it's terrible, yeah.
No one's really doing. It's like, why aren't the good guys? I say the good guys. Why aren't the American agents like? Why are they letting? It's like they let themselves get bombs placed on them. It's like they let themselves get fired at. They don't seem to sort of take any measures. They're just, we're just going to try. We're programmed. It's like a badly programmed computer game. We're programmed to do this and nothing else. And then when it all everything blows up, and they're all her car is tipped over, right? The car's tipped over. She's upside down in the car.
Yes.
She releases her seatbelt, crashes to the floor. Agent Maxfield tries to grab her. She kicks him, sort of thing, right? She gets out of the car. She picks up a grenade. She picks up a machine gun, right? And then she turns round, right? The bad guys are all still sat in the car.
Yep.
They haven't got out.
Nope.
They haven't moved. And this isn't a short scene. This scene...
And they're not passed out or, dead.
No. She then proceeds to...
They're just chilling in the car. They're just chilling in the car.
Why were they just sat there? What were they fucking waiting for? They were just waiting to die. It's the most incompetent fucking...
It's just terribly cut and terribly directed, and like you said, it's from a director who's done better. It's from actors who have done better. It's just bewildering.
Yeah, it's honest. I don't know whether maybe it was some kind of fucking
tax write-off,
laundering or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I don't know what it was, but it's this movie is utter trash.
I agree.
Avoid the fucking.
I hate to say it because I am quite often like, this was trash but fun. This was not.
No,
don't do it.
No, this movie wasn't even remotely fun.
No, it wasn't.
Aside from that thing with the drone that I thought was funny.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. This movie is utter bunk. I hated it.
Well, let's see if your last movie improves things.
Right. Yes. So my final movie is Don't Move.
Yes.
So this is a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I almost watched this one. I ran out of time.
Yeah, directed by Brian Netto and Adam Schindler. Stars Kelsey Asbeli and Finn Whitrock. So, Kelsey is this grieving mother. She plays Iris. So Iris, while out with her husband and her child on a hike, her child basically took a fall and died. Basically,
Yeah.
like not just a fall, a drop, like off a cliff.
Okay. Yeah.
So her child has died, and she's when we first see her, she's in bed with her, which you presume her husband. They're not talking. She gets up. She goes. In a scene that reminded me of that that is it 127 hours, whatever it is.
I never watched it.
Where he gets caught. He's trapped in the thing.
I can't stand dumb
really
person does
film.
Dumb thing movie. I'm like I know I hear it's a great film. It's just when those kind of movies come out, I'm like I can't watch it because it's the kind of thing that I would never do for fear of exactly what happens. Like it just seems like a really bad idea. You've done it, and now really bad things happen. I'm like, yeah.
There's just a small thing where she picks.
I do hear it's a very good film though. It's
a really good film. I would recommend that. It's a great film. So there's a thing where she picks up this knife sort of thing and puts it in her pocket and sort of goes out. And it just reminded me of that. So she goes out to the spot where her son dies. I think it's California sort of.
Right.
So she goes out and she goes to like the little shrine for her son where there's pictures there and there's all these like toys and things and flowers. And then she basically goes to the edge of this cliff where her son fell, and she basically is about to throw herself off.
Yeah.
And this guy turns up, Richard. He turns up and he says, "Hey, what a beautiful morning," sort of thing. And they start up this, he starts talking to her, and he sees what she's doing, and they have this conversation, and he says, "Oh, I lost someone. I was in an accident, and he says how he got over it, and all this sort of stuff." And she's like, "Okay," she steps back, and she listens to him, and he kind of talks her down, and they go to they walk back to their cars, and in a car park with no other cars but their two, his car is parked right on top of hers, and she's having trouble getting in. So she's sort of trouble getting in, and he's like, "Oh, I appear to have trapped you in there," sort of thing. He then proceeds to basically knock her out.
Right.
She tries to escape. He knocks her out, and when she comes to, he basically tells her, "In 20 minutes, you're not going to be able to do anything. I've injected you."
This is all in the trailer for people thinking this is a spoiler, because I saw the trailer the other day, and this is literally the trailer.
So basically, that's the premise of the movie: is that she has 20 minutes to get away from him, basically, before her body completely shuts down and she can no longer, and he basically says, "You can all probably already feel the tingling, soon you won't be able to hold a phone or, do things, and then eventually you'll just not be able to walk or do anything," right? So of course, she then manages to get away from him, and then it's a sort of a cat and mouse, chase, sort of get her away. Now, I've seen this actress before. She is my least favourite character in Yellowstone.
Oh no!
And that's not her problem. I don't think it's a problem with her character. I don't think they know quite what to do with her character.
Sure.
So I did watch this kind of thinking I'm going to watch this in the hopes that I can see her in a better light, sort of thing. If you
Sure, yeah.
like.
Well, sometimes it's the writing or the character you've
Yeah,
been given,
it's not.
and yeah.
It's not that she's a bad actress. It's that her character is fucking annoying. And
I was looking through the movies she's been in and the
Sorry?
TV. I was looking through the movies she's been in and the TV shows.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing I would have seen her in is The Amazing Spider-Man. And in that, she apparently plays a character called Hot Girl. So I'm assuming it's a very small role. So I don't know that I've seen her in anything.
I've not seen. I didn't watch Teen Wolf.
No, me either.
I think she was in that for a while, and the other things like
Fargo as well. She's in Fargo, but
I watched the first half of the first season of Fargo, and I didn't like it.
I've not seen it.
Never gone back.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen any of Fargo. I've heard really good things about the whole series.
Oh yeah, apparently great.
Different each season, but I've never gone back to it. So the problem with this is for the majority of the movie,
she's not allowed to act.
She's not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes with the premise, I think.
Yeah, exactly. She's doing quite a lot of face acting, which is actually quite good.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a difficult thing to do. Act paralyzed. I mean,
This is not a great movie.
It feels like this is the primary reason. It was this or The Substance. I'm guessing I picked the right one. I kind of came to the conclusion, like many films that I see trailers for, I was like, this looks like it would be an interesting short film, not a feature. But I don't know.
I will say it does. It's not that bad.
No, it looked well made. I just didn't think there was much story there outside of this is like a 20-minute short.
They do a very good job with what little premise there is. And they are actually really. Was
this a COVID movie?
I don't know.
It feels like a let's go to the woods with 3 people and make a movie.
It could have been. Finn Wittrock is very good as this sort of fucking clearly unhinged, but very good at manipulating people. He knows the right things to say to people.
Yeah.
He's got that sort of. At one point, a copper turns up, and he's trying to make out that they're a married couple and that she drinks, and the waterworks come on, and he's like, oh my god, so and I actually liked it. It worked quite well. He had enough sort of charm, I think, to pull off this sort of, clearly psychopathic, but
sure.
Good at it enough. It was a very enjoyable movie, and it didn't overstay its welcome. It's an hour and a half, so it was fine. There was at no point where I thought, okay, this shouldn't be happening, or it actually flows quite well in that, not trying to spoil anything, but when certain thing when she gets to a point where like what you expect is like, oh, she could be saved here. Obviously she's not going to be, because it's only like halfway in the movie.
Yeah,
but there's things that she is able to do. It's like you have to make a choice here. Either you die here or you go back to the psychopath with the idea that maybe you can get away from him again, sort of thing. So they do actually a pretty good job of that. And there's some really nice little vicious bits. There's a particularly good scene, I thought, with trying not to spoil it too much, but she ends up with this old. Oh, yeah, actually, you do see it in the trailer. There's an old guy.
Yes, there is an old guy in the trailer.
It's an old guy that finds her and takes her to his cabin. And how that scene unfolds and what happens is really good. His character the bad guy. He picks up on things very quickly. He's very good at reading people and very good at bringing up, there's a is it maybe a little bit spoily, but the old guy mentions that his wife, and that he used to do things with his fists, and he turned a corner, and uh, he got over it, and his wife sort of was fine. He immediately fucking uses that against him. Immediately he's like, oh, I can, he manipulates the situation to sort of do that. That was pretty well done. I liked how they did that. So it's not a great movie, but it is actually a pretty enjoyable sort of catty mouse sort of two-hander, really. And yeah, she's actually, with what she's got to do, is pretty good. When she does get to actually speak and do things, she's actually pretty good. There's a particularly good. She gets a particularly good moment in the end, and it won't really shock or surprise you. It's actually just a pretty well made thriller, and I did enjoy it. It's
cool.
It was a nice little movie to sort of pass the time with. It's not going to knock your socks off, but there's two relatively good performances, and it will you will enjoy it, I think. So yeah, it's
cool.
Go. If you want a nice little cat and mouse thingy,
I probably will. Pretty
good Psycho.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it for movies and TV and all of that stuff. Is there any news to cover?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. Well, first of all, this is one I actually only saw today. So I've not heard of this director, Nikiatu Jusu,
right?
Who previously had directed the film Nanny, which I haven't seen. She is going to be directing a spin-off from The Fly.
What, like an actual spin-off from Cronenberg's The Fly?
Yes.
Okay. So it's based in the same universe where the events of The Fly took place.
Yeah, that's how they're framing it.
Okay.
As within universe movie for The Fly. And they're saying in a Nia DaCosta's Candyman style, which I haven't seen the latest Candyman. You reviewed it, didn't you?
Yes.
So I don't really know, but so this to me sounds horrific.
In the wrong way.
Yeah,
not in a Cronenberg way.
I don't know why you would want to attach something new.
I don't know what you would do with it anyway.
Yeah.
What were you going to do that's not retreading the same old ground? I mean, you could do like Curse of the Fly, which is almost unrelated to The Fly. The original Fly. I mean, not the remakes. They did a third one, which is barely anyone remembers, because it's barely connected in any way. So whether they do something like that,
I cannot tell you anything that happens in that movie. I don't remember. I know I've seen it.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I mean, yeah. They don't say whether they're gonna count the sequel.
Well,
I would guess probably not. But I actually like Fly 2.
There's bits I like. I like it up to the part where it has a happy ending. Let's put it that way.
I actually, do you know what? It's one of those few times where
I'm all for how the villain ends up.
Yes.
That I'm all for. The fact that he manages to heal himself and he's fine by the end, I'm like, fuck off.
It's one of the few times where I actually was like, okay, fine. I mean,
the bad guy deserved it, but
it's like, but the article that I was reading also mentions that Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw thingy is working on a sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Okay, that already exists.
And
it's called like, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, but
I mean, just
the thing is that the fact. Forgive me for sounding like a twat here, but the fact that it's Jordan Peele's company and they're doing a specific sequel to Night tells you something, doesn't it?
Well, maybe. Maybe, yeah. Peel does like to do racial commentary. Certainly a lot of racial connotations to Night of the Living Dead, more so than the sequels. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's the direction he's going to go.
So, I don't,
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm just zombied out. I just don't care. Like it would.
I don't understand why though. At this point, it's like just do a fucking zombie movie.
Yeah, just make your own zombie movie. How in any way is it going to be related to Night of the Living Dead? Like how would it in any way be related? Because the original movies weren't really related. Outside of it was George Romero, so it was still the same in theory universe until you get to the sequels, and then the timeline makes no sense and none of it's clearly connected. But are they going to go back to the original house? Like, how is it a sequel, or is it just a zombie movie and you've gone, hey, it's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead? Honest guys, like what makes it a sequel to Night of the Living Dead? I guess is the question.
I mean, you for that,
would it be set in the 60s? I guess 70s.
Well, yeah, I guess you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would assume.
If you're making specifics of Night of the Living Dead, then it has to be the specifics of that particular world.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Mention of a comet.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe, but I can't say either of these things.
No, I'm not thrilled by either. We'll see though. You never know.
So, yeah. I think that was it for those sort of things. The memoriam part of the show.
Oh, I thought we got away with it.
No, we have not. Terry Garr.
Oh yes.
79, wonderful actress. Young Frankenstein. Close Encounters. She's so good.
Yeah, Close Encounters, a wonderful performance. One of it's one of my favorite films. It's up there anyway.
I adore her in Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
From the first roll in the hay line all the way to the end. The end. She was so utterly adorable and brilliant, and she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I think in the 80s, so she'd had it for a long time, and I think complications to that is why she died.
Yeah,
but she was a wonderful actress.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the Star Trek episodes that I love that a lot of people seem to sort of hate, but I love it. She was in the oh, for fuck's sake, the Gary 7.
The spin-off, the attempted spin-off.
The attempted spin-off.
Yeah.
And I love her character in that as the ditzy sort of secretary.
Yeah.
She's great in it. So yeah, really sad.
Yeah.
So two other people that are not. One person definitely not involved in movies. One person that was involved in movie music and producing actual movies. Quincy Jones.
Yes.
The great music producer and songwriter.
Did a lot. Yeah.
91. I mean, I didn't know. So he composed scores for Thornbroker, Heat of the Night, In Cold Blood, The Wiz, Color Purple. What I didn't know is
Austin Powers as well, right?
Yeah, and he did the Italian Job. The 60.
Oh, I didn't know he did the Italian Job.
Did not know he did the Italian Job.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. He produced Michael Jackson, Thriller album and all this. He was 91. This guy had a fucking amazing life.
Oh,
he was an actual musical genius. There's no, denying that. So
no, absolutely.
And the last person I would like to mention is Paul Di'Anno.
Yes.
Who was the original lead singer of Iron Maiden. I am a huge Iron Maiden fan. When growing up, they were my favourite band.
Mm-hmm.
I still utterly adore Maiden, and the first two Maiden albums.
I think they're massively underrated.
finest fucking albums ever made.
Yeah.
I personally absolutely adore Killers. Killers is maybe not my favorite Maiden album, but it's bloody up there. I love Killers. It's a fucking awesome album. And Deanna was a great bloody singer. Totally different from Bruce, but great in his own way. He had health problems for a number of years.
Yeah.
So he was 66, and I think basically the piling on of I think illnesses eventually got to him. But yeah, wonderful singer.
I agree. I think he's overshadowed by Bruce a lot, but I love all of those early albums. I mean, I remember playing on Danger Zone Radio. We used to play Iron Maiden quite a lot. The song Iron Maiden, because I'm partial to the song Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden. Yeah, no, it's a great. Yeah, he was very talented, and it was nice actually. I saw some live footage of one of Maiden's latest tours. One of their latest shows, and Bruce actually did a really touching tribute to him on stage, which I was really pleased to see.
It was so there you go.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it from us. We will be, of course, back next week where we will be covering a film. I don't know what, though. Do you know what?
We have not decided yet.
Okay, we haven't decided yet, but we will be back next week with a deep dive into a film. We will see what it is in due time. But until then, thanks for listening. Stay safe, take care, and we'll catch you next time.